The one is me. There we go. Okay, we're the only ones. So we'll see what happens here. Nope, somebody else is on. Hi, whoever. Boy, you fill these up full enough?
Yeah, well,
What?
didn't want to have to run back and get it full up again.
Why don't we just put straws in it?
Good.
Oh, Catherine's here. Hi, Catherine.
Hello.
And we'll just wait here to see if we get a few more. Oh, 5 now. Craft and Bev is here. How's everything going, she says? Going fine. That's what we'll talk about today. I hope everything's going fine with you. Maria is here. Hi, Maria. We'll just give it a few more seconds here. We're up to 7. And Sam is here. Catherine says your food looks delicious. Yes, it's a very exotic thing we're eating. It's called a cheap cracker with a little slice of cheese on it and a sliced olive. Hors d'oeuvres. Brenda is here. Hi, Brenda. Oh, today is Brenda's 64th birthday.
Happy birthday.
You're supposed to say it's your 59th for the 5th time around or something like that.
64. One more year in old age security.
Oh, well, there's a
Depending
good
on
one.
where you are.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're having a good birthday. 64. 1 year to 65, the big one. Well, that'll be 61 this year. Where'd the time go? How time flies when you're having fun. Who else is here? Everybody's passing on happy birthday wishes to Brenda. Well, we're up to 7, so we'll see a few more. Oh, 8. A few more will probably join us as we get into things. So, of course, we did come on an hour late, as you know, today because I was teaching a art journaling class at my local scrapbooking store. And you know that the first Sunday of every month, generally, I teach this class from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But I haven't taught one since December because took January off and then we were in Australia. And so this is the first one coming back. So, and I think everybody had a good time. We used Mike Deacon's, some of his challenges. I had written to Mike and asked him if that would be okay. And he said, oh, sure. So that's what we did today. And next month, we're going to do an interactive journal page. And I have a video about that. I think some of you have already seen it. I did a process video. And in June, we're going to deviate a little ways from our art journal books and ask them if they wanted to do a mixed media piece in another format, and we're going to use garbage package. Geez, it's gassy stuff. We're going to use packaging from craft supplies, and I've done this before. It's kind of fun because you get some really neat packaging. It's got nice scripts, got nice colors, things like that. So they seem to be gung-ho about doing that kind of thing. And I've been saving a lot of that stuff for a project. So whatever, I told them to save theirs up over the next month and a half. And I'll bring mine. So it should be pretty good. So that might be fun. Catherine says 70 was a scary one for me. Oh, Catherine, you don't look a day over 30. Of course, I can't see you, so don't know about that. And Mel says, hello, Stephen and Walter, everyone else, and happy birthday, Brenda. And Susie Q is here. Hello, everyone, Stephen and Walter. Susie, you should be coming to my art journal classes. You'd have a ball with it. Don't need to do anything special for it. And just because we're up to class number, next month will be class number 15, numbers don't matter. In fact, Carol, the owner of the store, said today, she says, what do you think about taking the numbers off and just calling it the month? for it. She says, because I think she said, I think when you have the numbers, it scares some newbies away. And I said, fine by me. Because I put in the little blurb on the description of the class all the time. It doesn't matter. Don't let the number bug you. You don't need to have had any previous experience. And I give them a list of things they should bring to start them up. But anyways, whatever. Hattie's Attic is here. Hello, all, she says. And that's Tracy. Okay, hi, Tracy. So, anyways, that's what I was doing this afternoon. And actually, I got home a little earlier because it kind of broke up around 3:30. But I had to clean up and things like that, too. So, that's why we're an hour later this week. We are drinking champagne.
Well, Prosecco.
Yeah.
Sparkling wine.
It's sparkling wine. Well, what? It's not Prosecco?
It's a Jacobs Creek one.
Oh, Jacobs Creek. It's an Australian sparkling one. Go figure. And Kathy Patterson's here. Good Sunday afternoon, guys. Same to you, Kathy. So anyways, let's see. What's this week we've been up to? Well, if you caught my vlog last week, I did near the end of it say that I was going to hold back on saying things about my two latest obsessions, my mother and my quilting. But I lie. But some of you wrote to me and said you want to hear about my mother. And you like the quilting.
I don't know if I want to hear about your mother.
I don't know if I want to hear about my mother. But I have a feeling that is going to be an ongoing... That may be just a segment from now on. What's up with my mother? What's up with Mummy? Well, anyways, Brendan says, I've been saving the empty Kleenex boxes with patterns on them, but now I don't know what to do with them. Oh, well, Brenda, I have a video under, I think it's Art Journal Techniques. I think that's what it is. Where I actually did with garbage stuff. And actually, it's a lot of fun to do it. It's not hard. Yeah, and you don't have to be particular about it. You just collage, basically, with it and add whatever other elements you want to it. So, you shouldn't be intimidated by that. So anyways, this week, the occupational therapist came to see my mother. Now, I've dealt with occupational therapists before, like for my dad. And basically, they come in, you look at your house and go, yeah, put in a rail, put in something, put in non-slip stuff here, get rid of your area rugs, this kind of stuff. And I figured this one would be pretty much the same way. Actually, surprisingly, she wasn't. She was young, but she was very good. And she spent about an hour with us, and she talked to my mom about her concerns and things like that. And she checked out my mother's walker and said that the walker wasn't adjusted properly for her height, which didn't surprise me because we've adjusted it this way and the other way, and I'm never
Well,
sure.
that used to be your dad's old walker.
Yeah, it did. It used to be Dad's. And I had been thinking about looking into getting a new one anyways because my brother-in-law's adjusted the brakes on this sucker so many times now, and he said basically he didn't figure it would take another adjustment.
Yeah.
And apparently he looked online or around to see if he could get new brake controls, but he didn't have any luck with that. It is an old walker. So, but this occupational therapist suggested that we get a new one. She wrote down all the specifications. She made the arrangements to the place for it. And 75% of it is covered by the government. So my mother only had to pay about $104. And it's supposed to be delivered tomorrow, Monday, to her. I phoned her up to let her know. And I asked them, too, when they called me to say that they were going to deliver it on Monday, whether or not we had to do any setup. And they said, nope, the occupational therapist has given us all the specifications with that, so it'll be ready to go for your mother. So I thought, wow, that's pretty good service on that. She got a raised toilet seat, some little device you put on it, because the occupational therapist said that would make it easier for her to use it. And plus it has some handles, I guess, that fold up as well. So, you can hoist yourself up and off. So they came on Thursday, installed that, and my mother says she likes it. She says it makes things a lot easier, so that's good. And then the woman said to her, what about bathing? And my mother for 3 years hasn't used the bathtub because she's afraid of slipping. So she basically sponge baths herself and that kind of thing. So this woman suggested this thing. It's a transfer board or something. I guess it hangs on the tub. You sit on the outside of the tub on this thing, swing your legs over, and it slides in or something. And so, it's a seat, but it's supposed to be safer. It saves you having to lift your feet over that. She said, though, she wasn't sure if it would work in my mother's bathroom because her bathroom is so tiny in the apartment. But she said, I'll order it anyways. I'll show you how to use it. And if it doesn't work properly, no worries. It can go back. They give us 30 days on this kind of stuff. And she said, so, but she didn't want my mother trying it until she came and showed her how to use it. And this lady was going on a vacation and wasn't going to, next time she sees my mother will be the 20th. So anyways, they came and put that in, but the guys that were putting in said this is not going to work in this bathroom. So I asked my mother where they put it. They put it in her spare bedroom. A good thing, because I thought if they left it in the bathroom, she trips over it or something. I mean, I don't know what this thing looks like. I haven't seen it. But no, they put it in the spare bedroom. And I said, good. When Tammy comes out to, check everything around, we'll get her. She'll look at it and she'll tell us, what to do about it or whatnot. So I was very pleased. She also asked my mother about any kind of pains, if she thought she had arthritis. My mother held out her hands and said, well, my hands shake a little bit. But my mother was, no, that's not that point. And I think I told you that she told the doctor she thought she had Parkinson's. Everything my father had, my mother has manifested. And I'm pretty sure she doesn't have Parkinson's. They didn't even know if my dad had Parkinson's. They did all these tests and they found nothing. And then they put him on more drugs. And Walter's conclusion was that one of the things that made my father so he couldn't walk anymore was the combination of drugs and everything that he went through, which is probably very much likely.
I wonder if those drugs hindered him more than helped him at the time.
Well, these doctors and these specialists, they're really drug happy. They just assign a drug for everything.
Well, not only that, what they do is they give you a drug, and it's like you never get off the drug. It's like you're there having it for life type of thing. And then you get something like what happened to my mother. My mother had a drug. She was complaining that her heart was racing. They gave her a drug to slow her heart down, and then what ended up happening is that she got older. She was still taking the same dosage, and all of a sudden her heart started stopping.
Well, that's not good.
And she fell down. She'd fall down, hit the floor, and wake up again.
No.
And I think that contributed to her dementia.
Well, I swear that when my dad had his knees operated on, he had both knees replaced. He had a reaction to the epidural that they gave him, and they also, but they would never admit to it, but there was some suspicion that my father had suffered several minor microstrokes too. I just know that after he had those operations, he mentally was not right after those. So this whole thing with modern medical science, they really don't know what to do. So having said that, very happy with the occupational therapist. She's also reporting all of this stuff to the woman that'll eventually come out. We know her name now. It's Crystal. That'll come from the organization that basically, interviews the person to put them on a waiting list for a nursing home, which is good. That's why I wanted the occupational therapist, why I got the doctor to order it. And this lady also, this Tammy, was putting down other things like a PSW worker to come in and help her bathe if she needed that. A PSW worker to come in and do some light housekeeping and stuff like that. Now, I know that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because PSWs come in for an hour if you're lucky, every other day or something. It depends. With my father, at the height of it all, when he was bedridden, there was a PSW came in the morning, came in the evening to get him, up in the morning and to put him to bed at night, basically help him bathe sometimes in the week. But that was really useless. And then you said your mother had a PSW come in when she was living at home.
Yeah, my mother had a PSW come in and she was supposed to help her bathe. And the problem with my mother is that she would refuse. Right? She said, I don't really need that. So then anyway, the PSW ended up doing nothing but sit around and talk to her. And my mother just got stinky.
Yeah. Of course, mind you, your mother told her she didn't need it, and they can't force it on anybody. So, But anyways, we'll see what happens with that. And as I said, I still haven't heard from the person that's supposed to come and interview my mother for getting on the list. But then in the meantime, last week, I get a phone call from my mother on about Wednesday. The Tammy was there on the Monday, And she says, well, her doctor's office called and said, I have a neurologist appointment in June in Scarborough. Scarborough is between us and Toronto. And I went, what? Well, who's the doctor? What's their phone number? What time? Well, I just told them that you would contact them and find that all out because, I can't read my own handwriting.
She didn't write anything down.
She doesn't write anything down anyways.
Probably didn't have a pen.
No, and her handwriting's better than my handwriting, so I don't know what her problem is. But anyway, so I tried to call the doctor. Well, first of all, we didn't discuss anything about a neurologist. But I said to my mother, that's because you had to say to the doctor you thought you had Parkinson's. And I said, Mom, you don't have Parkinson's with it. But anyways, so it took 2 days to get a hold of the doctor. And when the doctor calls me back when we were out. And the doctor was kind of a bitchy personality.
That's why you should give them your cell phone.
I know, but I'm old habits landline.
Yeah, old
but,
fart.
Yeah, screw off. Anyways, old fart myself, you're 60. Anyways, so now what was I talking about? See, this is what happens when you get an old fart off topic. The senior moment. So, the doctor left a message which was very snotty and snooty, and I don't like my mother's doctor anyways because she's snotty and snooty. And she goes, well, I made you I gave you the referral because you said you wanted to see a neurologist. And that was the end of the conversation. No, the word neurologist never entered into our conversation. It didn't come out of my mouth. It didn't come out of the doctor's mouth. It didn't come out of my mother's mouth. In fact, I said to them, I think the reason my mother has a little bit of a tremor in her hands is because she doesn't have any upper body strength. Her legs and her arm muscles are atrophying. And the doctor seemed to agree with me at the time. So that's why this was out of a blue. And Scarborough, I looked up on the internet. There's at least 8 to 10 neurologists right in the city we live in. Scarborough is not the nicest place, in the world. And I don't fancy having to drive my mother all the way to Scarborough.
It's like that time I had to go to a blood specialist in Scarborough, and it was in some hospital, and then I had a hell of a time trying to figure out where it was, and you had to walk a ways to get to it, and I can just imagine.
And the other thing about even taking her to a neurologist, the neurologist is going to order a bunch of tests to put her through. After we've done multiple probably visits, my mother's gone through all these stupid tests, which are not going to be pleasant for her. They're going to say what they did with my father. Well, we're not really sure. Might have the early stages of Parkinson, might not. Here's some drugs. My mother's not on that many drugs right now. Her health, her general health, except for the fact that she can't walk, is actually pretty good. She's on some blood pressure pills, a low dosage of those. Her sugar is fine. She's really actually...
Which is a surprise.
Mm-hmm. Because she eats a lot of sugar. Generally speaking, her liver's good, all that kind of stuff, kidneys, whatnot. So she's in pretty good shape. It's her mobility that's the problem. Possibly her memory. But then you never know. When you don't do anything every day of the week, one day of the week runs into the next, so you don't know. So anyways, I talked to the receptionist because I still couldn't get the doctor. Just had that message. And I wanted them, if you say we got to go to a neurologist, fine, but I want one in this area. Well, the receptionist said, I talked to your mom. It was me who called her. And I said, okay, why Scarborough? There's a whole bunch of them here in our own town. Well, she said, we put her for the Scarborough only because that one was easier. It'll be probably a year before you can get an appointment for one locally. And I said, we'll wait. We'll wait a year. 1, this is not a pressing issue. 2, if she does have Parkinson, there isn't any cure for it anyways. 3, if she has the early stages of Parkinson right now, they are not manifesting themselves in anything that's major. And I just don't want to have to drag her all the way to Scarborough and back again because it's a long haul for her. It's a long haul for me. Just to be told they don't know things. So anyways, they're supposed to reschedule this and find me one out here, and they're supposed to call me back about it. Well, I haven't heard anything, but this is the weekend, and I think that was on Friday, or maybe Thursday. And gee, I'm bad as my mother. What day is it? So we'll see. But anyways, that was the thrill this week with my mother. Except that we've been visiting nursing homes, and the ones we've seen two so far. I'm kind of impressed. They're not your grandmother's nursing home anymore. They really have perked up. The staff in both that we visited all seemed very friendly, very nice. Seemed to be lots of activities. Living accommodation was nice as well. So we see two more, one tomorrow, one on Tuesday again. I expect that they're going to be the same, but all these places have 4 to 5 year waiting list. And anything that has less than that, you wouldn't want to be in there. Believe me, they are hell holes. So it's no wonder they have vacancies. So anyways, we'll see what happens with that. I'm a little tired of the whole thing, but what can I do? So let's just see what people are saying here. Back up a little bit. Laura Ann is here. Hi, Laura. And she says her grandmother had a shower seat. Yeah, my mother has one too. But she's just afraid that...
Yeah, but she can't lift her legs over the tub.
No, she can't lift her legs at all. So basically, we'll go over there and find her tits up, face down in the bathtub.
Like, her mobility is really, really, really bad.
Yeah. I mean,
like, she walks like, I mean, I've seen 95-year-olds walk faster than
she just can't. She just can't.
And she doesn't want to do anything to improve that either.
No. And she won't try. She won't try to even go out for a little walk down the hallway or something like that.
Even before she started walking really, really bad, we kept saying to her, well, you should at least go for a walk down the hallway or to go get her mail, but she refused.
Yeah. She just doesn't want to do it. So basically her mobility issues have been brought on by herself.
They're self-inflicted.
Yeah, they're self-inflicted. And now her muscles have... And I've told her this. I said, Mom, the occupational therapist may give you some exercises to do or something. And I said, but you won't do them. And she goes, yes, I will. And I said, no, you won't.
No, she won't.
She won't do them. So, I mean, I don't know what we're waiting for here, what she thinks, how her life is going to be an improvement. It was her idea for the nursing home business about a year ago, but we got refused then, and that was just...
But she seems to think that she keeps talking about retirement home, which one is too expensive for her. And the other thing is retirement homes have, we may have covered this before, but
yeah, we may have.
Retirement homes usually have their dining room on the main floor, and your apartments are usually up higher. So if she can't walk now to get her mail, which is on the main floor, she's not going to be able to walk to the dining room. And then one of the visits to the nursing home we were at this week, there was a lady there whose father was in a retirement home, and she was saying it was $600 extra just to have them take him to the dining room.
For dinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, those poor people, that poor lady.
And she said they couldn't afford it, so.
No.
Over and above the cost of the retirement home.
Yeah, but her father refuses to even... He qualified on the list in 2012 or something for a nursing home, like they had a spot, and he refused. And now he's in the hospital, and he's still refusing. Like, other people there who have been through something like this said, look, don't let the hospital send him back to his retirement residence, because how are you going to look after him? He's beyond that. He's on oxygen and all kinds of stuff. The man needs to be in a nursing home, but he refuses. And if they deem you of sound mind, doesn't matter if you have power of attorney or anything like that. If they deem you of sound mind, you get to make the decision. And if you refuse, you refuse. They have to go by your wishes. So they say. So she's in a bad situation, that poor lady.
However, I think that if the decision is detrimental to their health, and
we would hope they would.
Yeah.
But I don't trust them, because I had to deal with them with my dad, and I can only say too little about that service, and it's through the government. I know their hands are tied because of what the government does and the whole bit, but nevertheless, who else are you going to turn to? We can't look after my mother. It's gotten to the point now where there isn't much more we can do for her. So what are you going to do? But anyways, let's see what people are saying. Bev says she's very lucky because she has a walk-in shower with a shower seat and a handheld shower head, and handhelds all over the place. Yeah, that's good to have. And she says, and that's why she quit. Why I quit taking a lot of prescriptions that they have prescribed for me. Never felt like they were doing me any good and made me feel worse than better. Yeah, you just don't know what to do. Oh, Ilona's here. Hi, Ilona. And Laura says that her dad had a PSW when he had his cancer surgery. And I think some doctors, Brenda says, are looking for something wrong so they can push the drugs. Well, you see all those advertisements on TV for the latest drugs. And I do know my old doctor, I'm on Crestor, which is a cholesterol drug. When I went on Crestor, I was getting the generic, and he said to me, "You're getting the generic." He says, "I'll give you a card. That means you can get on your drug plan the brand name, because sometimes your drug plan doesn't cover brand names, it only covers the generic drug." And so I gave them this card, but he got these cards from the manufacturer of Crestor, and it's a way for them to get you hooked on Crestor, on a brand name, their brand name one. Now, the way my doctor explained it to me was, he said that the generics are 80% the real product and 20% filler. Whatever the filler is, I don't know. I'm not absolutely sure about that, but who knows?
I'm on the generic.
Oh, well, that explains a lot of things, doesn't it? But, well, I'm on Crestor. I figured, well, fine, might as well get the original if it's not going to cost me anything for it, like any more than what I pay for it now. So, and I don't pay that much for it because the insurance covers most of it. But anyways, I don't know. Drugs, who knows? What else we got here? Oh, Nyrie's here. Hi, Nyrie. It's 5:25 a.m. in Margaret River, Western Australia. Yeah, I knew it would be early for you today, and you probably have to go off to work. And Jody says, it is Jody. Yeah, Jody says, a lot of times nursing homes are an opportunity to make friends with the activities they offer. Yeah, I agree. And I was looking around, they had lots of activities and people there, and that's one thing my mother needs. Whether she would partake of it?
We thought that one. My mom went to a nursing home, and then she refused. She refused to participate in anything, which I think my mother was never really like that when she was younger. She would partake of stuff, but then I think when she got some dementia, she became afraid of associating with other people. But his mother lives in an apartment that has a lot of seniors in it, and they're around all the time, and she has lots of opportunities to socialize there, but she won't.
But she doesn't. So, I don't know. Jody says, years ago, was your mom on the creative side? Yes and no. She used to knit. Years before that, when we were little kids, she sewed. But I think that was more of a necessity. I don't know if she really enjoyed doing it. Like, she made my sister's clothes. She made clothes for herself. That kind of stuff. I think it was more of an economic thing in those days. She used to read. She used to read a lot. In fact, the reason I'm an English teacher is partially due to the fact that at a very early age, my mother was always reading, and that got me hooked into books. She doesn't read anything anymore. I bought her some books that I know the type of books she likes. She likes those books. She likes romance novels, but she also likes historical romance. She likes the stuff, what's that series on TV, Outlander, the Scottish Highlands kind of stuff. In fact, she watched Braveheart on TV the other day. She'd never seen it and was talking about that. She likes that kind of stuff. So I got her a bunch of books at, was it Christmas time or last year? But never cracked one open. Got her magazines. Didn't crack any of those open. She just doesn't do anything anymore. She used to make flower arrangements and things. She loved her silk flowers, and she used to do things with those dust catchers all the time. No, not anymore. She's got a few in her apartment that she's had for several years or whatnot, and she used to like to change things seasonally. I don't get it, but a lot of people seem to like to put wreaths and things on their doors for every season and things in between, and do decor in their house according to the season. I'm not really into that.
Yeah, well, she stopped doing any of that stuff.
Yeah, she stopped. She just dead stopped. everything. Yes, I know why. She's still depressed. My father, at the end of this month, will be gone for 4 years. Ever since he passed away, she just shut down. I get it. It's grieving a whole bit. But, and maybe it's easy for me to say because I'm not in that situation, but, I would hope that, yes, you're going to be depressed for a while, but you got to keep going. I mean, you can't do it. You can't bring the dead back, can you? So, I have heard, a lot of times people have been together for many, many years, married couples. One dies. They say that within 5 years, sometimes the spouse dies. And it's just because of the connection. So let's see. Dad'll been gone 4 years.
I still think that's why she's hanging on to that walker she's got. That was your dad's. Because remember, she got this other one. She didn't.
Yeah, she got that other one that was left over in the apartment building. And Jacques, one of the superintendents, he said, someone left behind. No one's claimed it. It's a perfectly good walker. And he said, would your mom like it? And I looked at it, and yeah, this is a good walker. It's a little big, a little bigger than what she has, so it's awkward for in around the house. But at that point in time, we were still able to take her out with the walker. But no, she decided she didn't like that one. So I don't know. I hope she uses the new one.
No.
Well, she's going to have to use the new one because the old one is going out.
Yeah, the brakes don't work right.
Yeah,
on it,
and
so.
it's a death trap now. So, anyways. Nairi says she's on holiday. Oh, is it?
Because I wondered. She said she was at Margaret River, and we're
Yeah,
at Margaret River. I'm not sure. I got mixed up. Margaret River's in Western Australia, isn't it?
Well, so is Adelaide.
No, Adelaide's in South Australia.
Well,
South Australia is the state.
Okay.
Western Australia is Perth. And I thought Margaret River was in Perth.
Nairi, we need you to correct us here.
I thought the Murray River is in South Australia.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, good. I hope you're having a good holiday anyways,
Yeah,
Nairi.
I hope you are.
Yeah. Let's see. Craft and Bev says, we have activities here, and out of 40 apartments, only 6 or 7 of us partake in them. Oh, okay. Now, Laura's asking me, how was your class today, Steve? It was good, Laura. Now, Laura, you were talking about coming to the May class. If you are, you better call down to Class Act as soon as you can. Not open right now, but like tomorrow or something, because it's filling up already. Because the maximum number is 12, and I think there was already 7 or 8 signed up. I'm also doing one in June. The one in June is going to be with packaging. So if you're interested in that, that one's available for signing up for now too. So if you're thinking about it, just if you snooze, you lose. And I don't have any pull. So sorry about that. I'm just the instructor. Well, that actually it's the physical. That's all. We just can't accommodate more than 12 people because of the size of the place. Anita says, hi, Stephen. She might do wonderful with an antidepressant. Yeah, you're not the first one to suggest that, although the doctor did not suggest that. And I did tell the doctor that I think she's depressed and the whole bit. The doctor seemed to poo-poo me. Well, what would I know? I'm not a doctor. Okay, fine, whatever. But, I'm a little leery about getting my mother on a drug like that because... well, what if you become dependent on it and then you try to go off, then you're just going to be more severely depressed? I don't know. I'm not a chemist. I don't know how these things work, but
Yeah, well, it's funny that the doctor didn't suggest...
No, but of course the doctor didn't even mention the word neurologist either, so I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
The doctor's not impressing me. But anyways, Crafter May says, my father died 2 years after my mother did. I still think a lot of it was depression and missing her. Yeah, and you hear that all the time. And Denise says the grieving may have now turned into a clinical depression. It is possible. I don't know. Well, I'm just holding out. It doesn't mean I've ruled it out. My mother doesn't really like drugs either, so she might put up with some resistance if I say that, but then again, she might not. I don't know. So we're playing it by ear, but yeah, it's a possibility. Um, and G Tiger is here. G Tiger, have you been here before, G Tiger? I don't have you on my list, so if you would like to tell us where you're from and what you would like to be referred to in terms of, a name, or if you just want to be called G Tiger, that would be great. Let us know because you're more than welcome to be here. More the merrier. And G Tiger says, did the doctor do a geriatric depression screening? It's very common. Depression and antidepressant don't work that way. Nope, didn't. Nothing. No. Nairi says Adelaide is in South Australia. Perth is Western Australia. 2 different states. Margaret River is a town in the southwest of Western Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. Walter's right. I stand to be corrected. Of course he's right. Whatever.
Because I studied the geography of there. Oh.
Well, I haven't taken geography since grade 9,
Yeah,
and
well,
there's a good reason for that.
You know that I booked the trip. I booked the trip and I knew where I was going. You didn't have a clue.
I trust you to get me there. Although there were moments when I didn't think we were going to get anywhere, like when you kept driving over the side of the road, but on my side of the road,
well,
scraping me off. Yeah, I think there was a plan there. But anyways, Laura says, my dad was on antidepressants when my mom died, but he weaned off of them. And Naria saying, Margaret River is a big wine producing area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, well, of course you knew that, didn't you?
Because I said I looked into taking a tour down there, but it was going to be a little ways of drive.
Oh, okay. Fine. All right.
What part of Australia isn't a big wine producing?
Yeah, true.
Darwin, maybe.
G Tiger says, I watch repeats because I'm in Arizona. My name is Glenn. Oh, a guy? We have a guy? Well, you're welcome, Glenn, to be here, and glad you could catch us live today. Not exactly our usual time, usually an hour earlier, but we're on today because I had to teach a class, and I'm just in Arizona. Okay. How do you spell Arizona? Arizona. Yeah, okay, I don't know, whatever. Anita says, Walter, you haven't been trying to feed Stephen any more horse meat, have you?
No,
no.
You won't eat any.
It wasn't horrible. It's very, very salty. It has the texture of prosciutto. It's cut really thin. I thought it was too salty. Okay, that's really what was bad
actually,
about
it is too salty.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just suddenly, after I ate it, I had this sudden urge to go out and eat the front lawn. Hey. You know what a gay horse says, don't you? Hey! That's a good joke, how to do it. So everybody's walking out. So anyways, that's my mother's nursing homes. Let's get off my topic of my mother and let's go to my other obsession. Quilting. I went to a Quilters Guild a week ago, and I mentioned this last week. They're all asking me, oh, is Walter quilting too? No. But I said to him, he always looks like he's interested, but because I do it, he don't want to do it.
I'm not sure if I'm interested.
Whatever. I
gotta get back to my stained glass.
Yeah. You keep saying that, but you don't do it.
Haven't yet.
Anyways, I've been to my 3rd sewing class and discovered that although I thought I had pressed everything correctly, I hadn't. But that was no biggie. She showed me how to get around that, so that was okay. So I got ahead of some of the people in the class a little bit, got my rows all together, and then we cut the back fabric and the batting that I need. And the idea is for next week, we're going to be showing how to quilt using a walking foot on this. Yeah. I got a phone call later that night after I'd left. I went over. Walter was at the art gallery doing our monthly thing. And when we got home, there was flashing light on the phone saying I had a message. And it was the instructor phone. He says, I made a mistake. I didn't cut you enough background fabric. So you should just bring it in. I'll cut you a new one. No problem. We'll take that one back. But I really liked the background fabric. It wasn't that expensive. So I thought, well, no, I'll keep that piece. And I'll just get some more cut. Because I guess she forgot all about the border. And so that changed the dimensions. So here's what I've got ready for quilting next week. I'll be showing this on my vlog tomorrow too. There's what it looks like right at the moment. Now this is all layered. That's why you'll see some batting hanging out and whatnot, because it's not squared up yet. But the border's on, and the backing is on. And this is my backing. It's kind of fun. And I had a lot of fun yesterday when I was putting this together. There was a lot of cursing and swearing because
Yes, there was. I could hear it all the way upstairs.
it seems like the more I learn about quilting, the more mistakes I make. When I just did it from the YouTube, the very first one, that first one had the least number of mistakes. Why is it now that I'm going to a class and I'm learning the proper way and I'm making all these mistakes? So what happened was, I'm glad I kept that piece of material extra for the backing because, well, first of all, I put the borders on. I cut the damn material wrong. They were too short. So I had to piece them together. So I did that. Then I got one side on of the border and realized there was a gap. I missed sewing in one spot. I didn't have it lined up because I forgot to square up the quilt. So I had to rip that all out. Did that. Finally got the borders on, everything, laid everything out, was getting the batting and the whole bit, and I cut the damn material too short for the backing to make it one piece. At this point, you know what I was doing. He knows because he very strategically stayed upstairs and didn't come down.
I heard the F word a lot.
Oh, yeah. I was pissed. So I get out the other thing. I did my measurements. Long story short, I managed to sew two pieces together, so I do have a seam, but that's okay. You can piece backings. In fact, all the backings I've done have been pieced. So it's all together. It's sandwiched, just ready to go. But I was very, very frustrated and angry with myself at the mistakes that I was making. But anyways, I will show it to you when it's completely done. And what are people coming in that?
There was a whole raft that went by.
Yeah, I see that. Just backing up. Kathy says, ooh, very pretty. Laura says, wow, that's awesome, Steve. Nairi says, love the quilt. Anita says, ooh, I love it. Lona says, that's amazing, Stephen. Mel says, that is beautiful. You've learned so quickly. Soon you'll be a master quilter or something. Good looking quilt. Really nice work, Stephen. Love it. Very pretty. I like that pattern. G Tiger says, that's great design. You make more mistakes because you're not just doing basic stitches and designs and layouts anymore. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell myself. And Anita says, I think quilting is very precise. Yes. Although I did see in the Quilters Guild, they all make mistakes. The trick is, don't acknowledge them. I was told by the instructor, if you don't point them out, most people won't know they're there.
Well, that's the same with stained glass.
Yeah. Mel says, also loved your spoonflower fabric showed last week. And saying dash the darn thing. Yeah. Mine was a little bit more in the F variety. But anyways, survived. It's done. The other thing about that quilt is, and I think I mentioned it last week, is it's all made up of squares. They're called half square triangles is how you get the triangle pieces. I made way too many. I don't know how. I guess some of that material I should have had for my binding and stuff, so I'll have to get more material for that. But I wasn't the only one I found it in the class. A lot of them did it too. But that's okay. I'm making another quilt out of those squares, and I have enough to make another quilt. And I started it this morning with the squares, and I think it's going to look quite nice. But then there's plenty of time to screw up, so we'll see. So anyways, that's good. And come the first weekend in May, they have their open house again, and that's when they put out all their courses that they're going to have for the next few months. And I said to Walter, I'm going to be there when they open the store. I'm going to bash people out of my way, and I'm signing up for a minimum of 3 classes. I want to take a serger class, I want to take a binding class, and I want to take a machine quilting class. So get those all in, because they can only handle about 8 people, maybe 10 at the most in a class. So I want to learn more. Anyways, oh, Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy. All right, so Walter had a fun experience at RMG Fridays. Last week we were going to talk about this, and I forgot. So we'll talk about it today, about the latest installation in there. But, well, tell them about the children.
Well, this installation has a couple of components to it, and one of the things that they've got in this thing is, well, it's hard to explain it, but they have, I guess, as part of this installation, they have these great big, huge, what looks like push pins on the floor, right? And they're mounted on a round piece of plywood that's painted yellow. But they've got these big signs on the side of it. These things are big. They're like about 4 feet high, and you know, push pins that go into
bulletin boards.
So they've got them there as sort of like take note kind of thing or something. There's about 3 of them in one of the galleries, and they're fairly big around. The thing around is about 3 feet around or something like this.
They're big.
They're big, right? And you're not supposed to touch them, right? So somebody comes in with 3 little kids, and what do little kids do? One kid took a run and leaped at the push pin and jumped right on top of it, and it started rocking. And the mother's going, "Oh, get away from that! Get away from it!" Because this is you're not supposed to touch, right? And these kids did everything they could to try and touch these things, right? Then there was a canoe on display there, and one kid grabs the canoe and starts rocking the canoe. I'm trying my best to stop them. Well, I'm not a teacher. He would have probably yelled at them, but I couldn't. I wasn't really yelling at them.
Hit them with a long stick.
Yeah, so anyway, so I was very uptight. But on the other hand, I was thinking, well, if they're idiots enough to put that stuff up in the middle of the floor, what do you expect, right? So,
Well, that's the whole thing with this installation. It's about Tom Thomson. Tom Thomson, if you're not aware who this person is a Canadian artist. Painted in around, he was born in 1877. He died at the age of 39 in around 1917, something like that. Somebody can do the math and figure that one out. But he is sort of a forerunner to our most famous group of painters in the country called the Group of Seven. He was never a member of the Group of Seven because he died just before they formed. But he hung out. He was an outdoorsman. And he hung out in a place called Algonquin Park. Algonquin Park is northern Ontario. It's a huge, huge reserve, nature reserve. Wildlife, everything there, lots of little lakes and things. And he was a canoeist as well. And he used to take his paint box and he'd paint these landscapes and everything. And he'd go around his canoe. Well, I guess one time they found his canoe empty, drifting along. And to this day, there's been a mystery as to what happened to him. But they did find his body about a week or so later. So I don't know, I guess they figured he drowned or something like that. But what was a mystery was that he was a very experienced canoeist. So they don't know to this day. So anyways, they've created this display. Now, all of his artwork is in one place in Ontario where he hung around, which is probably, 100, 150, 200 kilometers from us, something like that. And they really don't usually lend out any of his works to any other art galleries. But they created this traveling show this year of some of his principal paintings. And they had a whole narrative around this. And it had to do with somebody found some old letters in an old book in a bookstore that supposedly belonged to or were written by a friend of Tom Thomson's, and hitherto at this point in time they didn't know much about this person.
well, they sort of said that, and if I was reading into the article thing, is that they had found in this book sort of like a little map somewhere in towards Algonquin Park, and that they followed this little map, and then it ended up finding a box buried in the ground or under in a little alcove or something like this, and inside there was a little journal made by this one guy, George something or other.
So
George with an Indian last name.
yeah, well, he had Aboriginal connections
Yeah.
or something, or First Peoples. I don't know what you call them these
Yeah.
days.
Anyway,
But anyways, they created, so 85% of the narrative they created around this display is based on this diary. 15% of it they made up.
and some of it that they made up, like one of the ladies that was looking at this stuff, and they have a big case of artifacts in here. And a lot of it is like documents, like legal
Letters.
documents and letters and stuff like that. but half the documents say they were constructed. So she says, what's it mean by constructed? And I looked at it and I said, well, what it means is they faked it. Right?
It's fake news.
It's faked, right? It's
Made
they've
up.
assumed it's made up. And she goes, well, why would they do that? And I said, well, if you go back to the front and read about it, they said that 85% of it is real and 15% of it is fake, right? It's been made up. And I said, I really don't
I don't know why they did it that way.
Why they did it that way, other they're trying to sell it or something like that. But it just, to me, it didn't work.
And on top of it all, they tried to make it a virtual kind of tour. So there's an app you download to your phone, and then you stand in front of these different. They look like sort of like a barcode. What the other one though, the
QI or
whatever
code,
they're called.
And first of all, the instructions are not very clear on what to do. Second of all, I've worked in technology for a number of years and stuff like that, and it's not very intuitive. It's not for
Not
the average
user-friendly.
person. It's not user friendly, and really, it's not a good use of technology, in my opinion, because what it is first people didn't understand how to use it. So then I went through, and when they looked a little perplexed.
Or they were standing on a spot that said "stand here," and you stared at the wall where this big, huge.
You're supposed to put your phone up there to read the code, right?
But they didn't know what to do because they didn't read the instructions. So they're standing there staring at this thing, waiting to see what jump out at them.
I went up to them and I'd say, well, you have to download this application to your phone. Well, then the problem is that some of the people came in and they didn't really know how to download an application to their phone. And then there were other people that had problems connecting to the internet to be able to do that. Then there's another person that had it, but I don't think their software was up to date on their phone, so it wasn't working for them. And even mine, it was working okay, but I lost interest after about doing it a couple of times because of what it was, is you pointed at this QI code, then it brought up this screen that showed you 4 or 5 items. Then they had these other QI codes at the bottom. You had to scan each one of those, and it brought you up a little quiz. And unless you read any of the literature or knew anything about what the quiz was about, I mean, you were stuck. So you had to sort of select through. What it would do is every wrong answer would come up red, and the correct answer would come up green. So and then you take you to the next step, and basically it's sort of like, okay, I'm not learning anything from this.
Well, there was, in some cases, there was way too much information. And unless you had a real love of the history of Tom Thomson, then it went, and your attention span is gone.
So people just got frustrated with it. Now, the guy that did the installation there, the guy that actually puts the stuff when he works for the art gallery. He's the installer to install it. He seemed to be really amazed by this thing, and then it works okay and all this other stuff. He's the only one that's actually using the thing, and everybody else is like daft as to how to use it.
Because he installed it, so he knew how it worked.
Right.
But
but people lost interest, and I thought, well, this is kind of useless because isn't an installation supposed to inspire you to learn more about it? And all it was doing was frustrating people, and they weren't getting anything out of it. And to me, that's not a good use of technology. Technology is more for replacing things and automating things and making things more streamlined, right? But this isn't doing that. This is making it more difficult,
and it's making it frustrating for people. So anyways, I was glad I wasn't on that night because I had the sewing class because I'd have a hard time selling it to people, and there's this being a wonderful thing.
Well, I wasn't selling it as a wonderful thing. I was trying to tell them how to use it. And when it wasn't working, I said, to be quite honest with you, you'll get frustrated with it.
But I think the whole concept of this installation, out of the time that I've spent being a volunteer there, I think this has got to be the second stupidest one I've ever seen. The paintings themselves are worth the effort to look at. Yeah. And they're not huge. He only painted little ones. And there's a whole bunch of them. And like I said, it's rare to actually see an original Tom Thompson painting because most of them are in this one art gallery and they don't lend them out. So that's okay. But this rest of this narrative, and they were trying to tie it all in together with Indian treaties that had been, the First Nations people and through the government and treaties they had done. And I didn't get that connection either. I know that Tom Thompson had a connection with some of the local tribes at the time, but it wasn't clear to me in reading what they posted what the significance was of this, how this was all tied in. So I think, in my opinion, it was a badly conceived installation. I think what it did was left more people confused, did not educate anybody about anything. So you saw the paintings, yay. You saw some Tom Thompson. The rest of it, gone. Funny thing was, too, this was supposed to go to some other art galleries across Canada. I thought. We were told this back. Suddenly, I've heard that plan has changed. We're the only ones getting it, and then it goes back to Owen Sound, which I don't know why. Unless
somebody else evaluated the installation and thought it wasn't worthwhile.
Yeah. But the problem with art galleries is this. The people the powers that be that spend, time and effort planning these displays, making the connections to get them into the art gallery. And they plan years in advance for these things as well. You can't be honest with them, with your opinion, because one, show me your fine arts degree. Don't have one. Sorry. So what do you know? Well, the whole point of an art gallery is to allow people, anybody, to come in, enjoy art, possibly learn something about it if they so desire. Not to frustrate them and not to make it a snotty show. That's the way I feel about it. But apparently,
they don't take constructive criticism. Yeah. And the other thing is, it's like with this application they had, they obviously didn't seem to get it tested by people for feedback.
And the installation of it too, like there was different little barcode kind of things that you were supposed to scan into your phone and it would take you to something on the web and do these things. They were in a position that was very awkward because you're in front of glass showcases. So you could only lean in so far.
One thing is that somebody was trying to take some of these barcodes with their phone, and you had to hang over the glass case to do it.
So right? You're touching the glass case.
So you're touching the glass case, which you're not supposed to touch. Well, I was ignoring that because I just figured, there was
it's
no a glass case they can wipe it off wipe off your fingerprints.
But there was no other way you could do it.
And then the security guard comes by and tells somebody to get off the glass case or whatever.
So
like I'm going, you've just made it difficult for these people to do what they're supposed to do.
So ironically, or maybe ironic's not the name of it, next Sunday, we are invited to a volunteer luncheon. They have this once a year. And after the luncheon, we're supposedly going to have a panel discussion with some experts about Tom Thompson talking about it all. And I'm thinking to myself, good thing they don't serve booze at these luncheons because I have a couple of drinks and but excuse me, it doesn't work. It's stupid. And that would go over like a ton of bricks. So I just bite my tongue. Who knows? But whatever. I'm not a power to be at the art gallery. I'm just a docet, and not even that this year much, thanks to the new stuff. But anyways, that's a story. You've heard that story, I'm sure. Anyways, just catching up here. What's being said? Oh, shoot. Go back down here. Nairi says it's frustrating when people don't learn more about their phones other than taking pictures, texting, and Facebook. Yeah, true.
Yeah, but I don't really think that that this sort of art display, it was a difficult thing even for somebody that's familiar with technology to do. So, some people will probably not get very far with learning their technology.
And content-wise, it wasn't worth the effort.
No.
Really, you didn't learn a whole lot. So, or in some cases, there was so much, as we already said, information. It was,
Actually, I also think that they probably were trying this technology thing to make it supposedly appeal to younger people.
Maybe.
However, I don't think younger people would probably care.
No. They don't know who Tom Thompson is, never heard of him, don't care to know about him, and that's it. So, it's simple as that. And then, what more here? It's frustrating when people don't learn. Yeah, and Anita says, and there you go. One of those ideas that sounded good at the table, but logically a disaster. Yep. Mm-hmm. And not everybody has a fancy phone. I still use an Android, perfectly happy with it because I use a phone for basically just making phone calls and taking quick pictures that I need to. Yeah. And you're right, Walter. Technology should enhance our lives. QR codes, that's what they are. QR codes can be fun. Yes, they can be. But the way this was, it wasn't that fun. And he says, but who really wants to go through all those apps and things to enjoy your visit at the museum? Exactly. They made it too complicated.
Yeah, actually, it was fairly complex. I mean, if it was just one QR code or two QR codes and that's it. But they had like one big one, 4 subcategories on 4 walls. So 16 small QR codes, one for each wall, and one big one for each wall. And that takes forever.
But I said this is the second worst installation that I've seen since the time that I've been volunteering there. The worst one was this guy who made up an imaginary world and did it all with pencil crayons on paper, and it looked like a 5-year-old had drawn the pictures. And the storyline that was supposed to be a story about this make-believe area or place, and it sucked. But there was a big to-do about how great this was, and it was traveling to a couple of other art galleries and the whole bit. I didn't get it. So I guess if I had a fine arts degree, maybe I would understand it better. I don't know.
I thought it was a little weird.
Well, a lot of people thought it was weird. In fact, a lot of the docets, like they're all sitting around and everybody was thinking the same thing, but it took one person to mention it and it opened up the wellspring. And I was that person, and I'm usually that person. And I said, well, I don't know about you guys, but I think this sucks. And they're going, damn right it does. Why the hell did they devote 2 parts of the art gallery to this horrible display? I said, exactly. But whatever. The powers that be, you can't say it. And Nairi says maybe, she said you could still give them feedback firmly but gently. Yeah, no. They look down their nose. First of all, they look down their nose at anybody who is a crafter, and they use crafter like a swear word here. Oh, they're a crafter,
However, a lot of times the displays that they have up are actually of crafts.
Yeah.
The only thing is that the people that are doing the crafts have a little bit bigger of a name.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it becomes art.
Like
right? So
3 painted stripes in the National Gallery in Ottawa, $3 million they paid for that many years ago. Wow. Roller on big wood piece panel. Wow.
And it's probably because the guy that did it had a name for himself as being an artist.
Did. I don't remember the name now. It wasn't that big to me, but then again, I didn't know anything back then. Does the art gallery, Nairi says, have feedback forms for visitors?
Not really.
No, really. Haven't seen them. They had, when they switched their CEO over a few years ago, she decided to have a town hall meeting. It was during one of those luncheon, like this volunteer luncheon thing. And we went to that. And she seemed to be genuinely interested in what we thought, and it was mostly volunteers that were at it and things like that, about different things. Well, if anything came out of it, I think it went in one ear out the other, and I think she was just trying to introduce herself to people and make them think she cared about it. So I don't know. I've had an ongoing war with them about craft and art. As far as I'm concerned, all craft is art. If it's creative, it's art. Quilting is an art. Scrapbooking is an art. Card making, art journaling, mixed media, painting, watercolor, all of that is art. Is it fine art? Well, it depends on how you define fine art. But if you mean fine art in the strictest sense that it's done by the masters and it's been studied by them and people have copied the masters and do that kind of thing and do traditional landscapes and portraits and abstract, then no, crafts are not fine art. But they still deserve to be respected as a form of art. But they don't get that. And they turn you right off. No, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, whatever. Maybe I don't. So, Anita says they must have forgotten that the artists who now hang in museums were in their day not appreciated or accepted. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Back when the abstract movement started in the 1920s, people poo-pooed it. They said this is not going anywhere. This is not art. This is a mess. It's scribbles. And people still to this day think abstract art is that. And I have to admit, some of it does look pretty much that way too. But if you've ever tried to do abstract art, it's not easy, really. I know, I tried, failed at it miserably. So, yeah, you're right about that. Anyways, that's just a little pet peeve with there. Well, I'm pissed off at the art gallery this year, anyways, because they hired that person in the education department who basically fired all the docents. Mm-hmm. Not officially, but won't let us do anything. Won't let us do the tours, whatnot. Made this complex curriculum for kids coming in, and yeah, so I don't know, that might change. I have a feeling it's going to change. I think in September it's going to be different. Because I already said to one person, this person's working on her master's thesis. She's gone back to university and she's going to some place called OISE. OISE is the Ontario Institute for Studies in Secondary Education. I know it. I have my master's degree from there too. It's where teachers go. And this person is a teacher. But she, I don't know, I guess she decided the classroom wasn't for her and she does this instead. So she has written this curriculum, and it's very good, but it takes in all the buzzwords, and you would know what I'm talking about, and anybody else who's been a teacher, you know, it takes all the buzzwords, puts it all in, does all the stuff in order to, you know, the educational theory, which in reality most of the time doesn't work. You go with, you know, what works. And once she gets her thesis done, I have a feeling she's going to move on. And I told this person, I said, I wouldn't doubt that come the end of June, there'll be no more school tours again until September, October, when school goes back in. And I have a feeling this person won't be there. She will have moved on. She got what she wanted. But whatever, we'll see. We'll see. So, yeah, Nairi says, EduSpeak. Laura says, yes, all art forms are dependent upon interpretation. Yes, and by the way, Laura, loving what you're doing with the Jane Davenport stuff in your mixed media. Your stuff is looking good, and you are creating art. As far as I'm concerned, you're creating art. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, other people, I did review Laura Ann's YouTube channel. So if you go back a vlog or two, you'll see that. But just do a search, Laura Ann, you'll find it. Check her out. And Catherine says, speaking of artists, did you see Barb Owen show Friday with Seth Apter? I thought you'd like to try his new products. Yes, I did know about his new products. They're actually manufactured by a Canadian company out west, Emerald Creek, I think it's called. They're actually not that new, okay? They look good, and I love Seth Apter. He's got a real style that I really like. But Tim Holtz came out with Ranger back 5 years ago, 6 years ago, with his version of distress embossing powders, which are kind of what I can see. Now, I haven't actually seen this Emerald Creek stuff up close and personal. I'm just going by what I've watched on YouTube. It's basically chunky embossing powder that has colors and things in it that, you know, look distressed, grungy, gives a vintage look to things. And Tim Holtz had all of those too. You don't hear about Tim Holtz as much anymore because I think that became a little passe, the whole embossing thing. There was a big craze on it for a few years and then it sort of died down. Some people still do it here and there, but it's not, I don't think it's as big as it was. So now this company has come out with these products. Maybe they're hoping that people will get on board with it and think it's new because they've never seen embossing powders before, or this style, and use it. So I'm not saying it's a bad product. I think it looks really cool. And like I said, I really like Seth Apter. So I did watch Barb Owen. I didn't watch it all to the end. And I didn't catch it on Friday when she did it live. I caught it on the replay yesterday. And I didn't watch the whole thing to the end. But anything by Seth Apter, though, is very good, very creative, and he makes everything look very easy. He's very accessible. His designs and his rubber stamps. I have some of his rubber stamps, and he has some of his stencils, and I really like his stuff. So I don't know. If I come across it, I'm not going to specifically order it, but if I come across it sometime, I might pick up some. Um, Catherine says, yes, I saw Barbeau and Seth Apter, and I will hopefully get to see them. Anita says them on YouTube. Yeah, just do a search for Barbeau, and you'll find it. It was in her last vlog that she only does now once a month on it. Okay, so today I did my art journal class. Already mentioned that. That went over pretty well. And I did do a little tiny snippet video of the class today, but I can't, of course, insert it here when we're live. But I'm going to put it into my vlog tomorrow, so you'll be able to see that then. Okay, so that takes us down to getting to know you. All right. People, I want some information. I'm serious. Stop being shy. Send me stuff about yourself. Send me stuff about what YouTube videos you like. Send me stuff about what you've been doing. Send me pictures of your holidays, your kids, whatever turns your crank. So we get to know who other people are on here or on my vlog. Now, I got 2 things this week. I'm reading a piece of email that came from a regular. And right now, who is that? I think it's Anita. Yeah. I asked Anita if I could read her email on my vlog. That's tomorrow, and I'm going to. Anita said yes, that was fine. And a new person that we only had last week, and I don't see her on here today, is Preezy. And Preezy has a blog spot, and she sent me information for that, so I'm going to have that tomorrow on my blog as well. But don't be shy. Tell me anything. And what I'm thinking of doing, too, is, if you don't mind, some of your comments that you write, after we do this or whatnot, I want to do a little review of some of them because you write some insightful things that are, great. So if you don't mind, I'd like to share those. So rather than contacting everybody that writes something on that, I'm just going to put it out there and say, if you're writing it publicly, I'm assuming you don't mind people reading it and you wouldn't mind me highlighting it.
However, are you going to say who it is that made those?
Well, yeah. Unless, I'm not going to read anything negative.
That might make people not want to comment.
Whatever. Okay. Well, I don't know. I'll see. If I get some comments that I really think it would be nice to highlight and share with everybody, because not everybody reads the comments that are under everything or skim through it, then I will send you a message and say, do you mind if I read that? Okay. Does that satisfy you?
Yeah.
Fine. All right. I just figure if you write it there, everybody can read it anyway, so
yeah,
do you care? I mean, I'm not going to cut anybody up for what they say. I mean, if it's a negative comment, I'd probably just delete it. Well, it's my website. Whatever. Okay. What do we got here? It says, my eyes aren't focusing. I have heard that paper artsy paints are easy to write on for art journaling. Okay, I don't know. I've never tried I've tried some paper artsy products and I kind of like them, but I have never tried their paints. Anita says he's got that teacher look on. Yeah, when I do that, watch out. Nairi says, "Oops, we're in trouble." Laugh out loud. And Cap says, "Got his school teacher face." Yep. And Craft and Bev says, I agree with you, Stephen. If you're writing a comment, you're writing it for everyone to see. Yeah, I know. But Walter always likes to be extremely politically correct.
Well, I don't know. Some people don't.
Yeah, okay, fine. You don't care about my feelings. Why do you care about anybody else's? Oh, because it's me. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did I tell you a story? I probably mentioned it last week. Went to the Guild. They have a show and tell.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to take the Australian quilt. Right now, I was thinking that the way they said that they had the show and tell, I thought it was like in a small corner someplace in a group, and you kind of went, yeah, I've got this. I said, well, do I think I'm taking that? He goes, well, maybe you should wait until you've been to
Well, no, actually, I thought it was they weren't going to take a square or something like that you were working on.
No, I said my Australian quilt.
I'm not sure that's what I thought.
Oh, yeah, backtrack now.
Okay.
Anyways, he talked me out of taking it. Maybe just as well because they actually get up in front of, there's about 100 people there, and they have a microphone, and you talk about your quilt, and a couple of people hold it up and that, and they had some really nice quilts that were there. So maybe not yet. Not quite in that league. So maybe it was a godsend. Maybe I should look at it positively. He didn't want to embarrass me, or embarrass
Well, I
myself.
was just sort of looking
Or maybe it's because you don't like my quilt and you figured it was an embarrassment.
I just wondered if the people that were there would, like, because you're a beginner, it would be really, really that you.
Whatever.
Since I'm getting it in deeper, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Would you like a shovel for the rest of it? But, yeah.
I thought maybe you might have felt a little out of place.
Actually, I found the people there at the guild really, really friendly. A lot of perfect strangers were coming up to me and going, "Hi, our name is such and such. Is this your first time here? Oh, great. Nice of you to come and everything. I hope you enjoy it." We have another guy that comes on sometimes here too. So really, I think it's because I was a guy and everybody else, I was the only guy in the room amongst 100 women. I think I was a novelty. But anyways, they were nice. So yeah, down the road. Captain Bev says, "You make me laugh and bring up my day. Thank you." And bring up my day. Bring up. I'm hoping you mean brighten your day. I don't mean like throwing up. Bring up your day. I'm not sure. And Iris says, "Any chance of seeing some of Walter's stained glass pieces? When will the joint art session be happening? You could do a
I haven't
canvas
made
and use a set of
anything new
prompts."
in a while.
I do have a video that we did. It was on Stephen and Walter Live back probably a year ago. So, and I'm not sure what number or what date that one was, but it's way back. And I went around the house and showed. Actually, I think I did it in one of my vlogs too. Actually, no, I think I made a separate video of that of your stuff.
Yeah.
Went around. So there is stuff there, but like he says, he hasn't done anything since.
I haven't done anything for about a year. So.
Yeah. So do you remember how?
And
to
I
do
keep
it?
saying I have two things I have to repair, and then there's a few projects in my head I want to do.
Yeah. And as for the other part in Irie about us doing a thing together, like an art journal page, he did mention a few days ago to me, "Well, we should do that." I said, great, game on. I was trying to figure out how to do the camera work so that we could like cut between our faces and our hands. I haven't really figured that one out yet, and I don't know if I ever will with the equipment that I've got. So what it might be, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a live one. Well, actually, we could do a live one. I'm just thinking this setup.
Yeah.
We could probably do it here, and then we hold
Yeah.
it up and back. That might work. Oh, okay. Just thought about it. Well, we'll see. That might be kind of fun. The only thing I hesitate about is every time that we do any art together, like when we have people over for dinner and I do an art attack night, his stuff always comes out better than mine. And he knows this. And he gloats. And he'll gloat for days and days and days on end. He's competitive. Dutch. Whatever. So, okay, it's still on the books to try that, and I think I just figured out logistics to do it, so maybe next week. We'll see. I'm going to have to cover everything in a lot of paper. Either that or we do it downstairs, and I raise it up and maybe...
Yeah, it's probably better downstairs when we're... where you can sort of maybe...
Well, all the products are down there.
Angle the camera a bit.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, I'll have to experiment this week and see. So maybe for next week. I don't know. It's a surprise. Not making any promises. We'll see. Okay. Anita says, "Have you seen the Quilting Arts magazine? You would like it." Yes, I have. And I have bought one. Maybe two. There's a lot of quilting magazines. And I'm holding myself back on them. I'll leaf through them. If I see something that's really turning me on, I'll buy the magazine. But right now, between YouTube and the internet, there's so many resources, plus taking the class and the whole thing. So, but yes, it is a good magazine. Craft and Bev says, "Hey, Stephen, have you ever thought about doing a crumb quilt?" I don't know what a crumb quilt is. What's a crumb quilt? And Laura says, "An art attack night sounds like fun." Yeah, they are. I make people come here and do art. And we've had a couple of these. Haven't done one in a while. And they each get to go home with an original piece of art that they created. And they usually have fun. And, of course, we're having drinks, so it makes it even more fun. Diary says, "I'll look for the videos. Thanks." And Nairi says, I'm coming. Oh, you're more than welcome to, Nairi. Nairi, I make you this promise. If you ever get out here to our end of the world or whatnot, I will put on a special Art Attack night just for you and your husband or whoever else you're traveling with. Yep, that's a promise. I will do that. We'll show you a good time. We told you that. Kathy says, I would love to go to an Art Attack night. Just a little too far. Yeah, too bad. Could have you all, but, you know. Well, think about that. Anyways, okay, so, what's eating Walter?
Well, I don't know if it's really...
Well, it eats us both. But I'll tell you how this got started, first of all. We want to talk about people, and when you invite them to something or you're expecting them to show up to something, about etiquette in terms of being there on time. And we'll tell them what you were thinking.
Well, no, it's just that we've invited people over here for dinner and stuff like that. Most people arrive within the time frame that you say. But then we've had times where somebody doesn't show up for a long time, and you're trying to figure out if they've screwed up the date or whatever, or something, and then they show up like an hour and a half later or something like that.
Well, that was an extreme one, but that night pissed me off when certain friends of ours, that there was other people here, of course, didn't show up until an hour and a half late. And we're not apologetic about it. Didn't even make any excuses. There they were. And I said, we told you 6 o'clock. It is now 7:30. Is there a traffic problem? What's going? Nothing. So, okay. You know, when we invite people, I'm very anal about this. I have a schedule for the evening. Now, what I mean by that is, doesn't mean, okay, the bell just rang, you're now in second period, here we go. That would be the teacher in me. But I mean, I plan things around like the food, what we're doing, like an Art Attack night, you know. We have meet and greet at the beginning. You know, get everybody in.
Actually, I think that might have been an Art Attack.
It was an Art Attack. It was the one we did the alcohol inks, I think.
Yeah.
And, you know, I expect people to show up. If I say, okay, 6 o'clock, I know some people will be there 5 minutes earlier than that, maybe a little earlier. And anywhere between 6 to 6:15 is an acceptable time length. But an hour later, and you're not there yet, I mean, I'm timing the activities, dinner, you know, because you got to put things in the oven, you got to, you know, and trying to time it all so it's hot and ready and bang, bang, and all that stuff. So I just think it's rude to show up late. Now, we do have a tendency when someone invites us to something, usually showing up early. Like 5 minutes early. In fact,
or right on time.
Right on time. In fact, people set their watches by it when we come in. It's a bit of a joke amongst our friends.
Who comes in first? Is Stephen and Walter come first, or what?
And then, of course, there's a few of our friends who are chronically late for things. Not by a lot, but we know. So we always have whoever gets here first, then we'll do a pool. Okay, what time do you think such and such is going to arrive? What time? Who do you think is going to beat who out for that? That's a bit of a running joke. I mean, that's not a big deal.
But you sort of know that they're going to be there within a reasonable amount of time.
So
but it's when somebody doesn't show up, and then you're sitting going, did they get the date right? Or
well, you start to second guess yourself. Ooh, did I not tell them that was it my fault? You almost want to call them up and go, hi, where are you? Kind of thing. In fact, I did do that once. It was them.
Actually, it was them. You called them and said, well, where are you?
Well, we're on the road. Okay. And they lived a ways away from us, like about an hour.
So, you know, you can understand you hit traffic or something. But then, you know, nowadays you have cell phones. You can call and say,
hi, we're running late. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know. And that's just a courtesy, but they didn't do that. I had to call them.
And then you get the people that decide to go, well, then the other thing was people that decide to go on diets or something like that.
Yeah, suddenly change their dietary requirements at the last minute.
At the last minute, and then phone you up or contact you 2 hours before the event and say, oh, by the way, I'm on a diet now, and
I can't eat any of your food.
I can't have dairy. I can't have booze. I can't have any starches. And you're going, okay, well, I can just bring my own food. Well, what's the point of that?
Yeah, really. Like, I spent this time doing, and I
You spend all
usually,
this time making dessert and doing stuff and all this other stuff, and you can't eat half the stuff, right?
and if it's okay, it's one thing if it's an allergy, but because I know these people,
Yeah.
I know what their food allergies are, and if I don't know them well enough, if they're coming, I will ask when I make the invitation.
Not only that, you know the food allergies. You know it's not medical; it's self-inflicted.
Yes.
And what annoys me is that if they started this diet a week ago, why couldn't they have called me a week ago and told me that they're on this diet?
Yeah, and then I could have planned a little bit around it so there'd be stuff there for them. It's like vegetarians. If you don't know they're vegetarian and then they suddenly get to a restaurant or they come to your house and go, well, I'm a vegetarian. Well, I didn't know that. I would have brought in a whole harvest for you. Like, here, munch on my carpet. I don't know.
So anyway, so that one is people arriving late, and it's not just people arriving late for dinner. People arriving late for appointments. You're sending out an email to somebody, you're expecting a reasonable response, and then they don't send you another email for a week.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, are you dead or what? You know, especially in this day and age, people can fire off an email back fairly quick.
Well, what's really bad is in the gay world.
Or
Gay time doesn't work the same as straight time, apparently. You'll invite people for drinks, dinner, whatever, and you never get a definite answer from them because they always are waiting. There might be a better invitation at the last minute. If there's not, then maybe we'll show up at yours. But they don't say that, but that's what's going through their head.
yeah,
And that's
or what happens is that you've invited them, and 2 hours before they show up, you get a message from them. Oh, my dog's sick. Or
I'm double booked. We had one of those. Back at time was, yeah, I'm going to try and make it on time, but I'm also going that day to this other thing somewhere.
That's like 30 miles away from you.
Yeah, or further. And for this special event, which they already knew about at the same time, but so you double booked us. So what? And so I might be late, but I'm not sure how late. Pick one. If you're booked that day already and you can't make ours, okay, that's fine. Let us know. I mean, I'm a planner, and it irks me. So today in my class, I had someone show up late. I'd already given instructions. I'd already set it all up. I had to move mountains, actually, for this person because I had my table all set up. I had exact number of people. This person wasn't there in that time. I thought, great, I can spread my stuff out. Then in comes this person. And I had to rearrange furniture and the whole bit. Meanwhile, the rest of the class, I'm trying to get them going because it's not fair. So I was not particularly pleased, and I spoke about this. And this is not the first time this individual's done this. So I said to this person, I said, look, please don't be late in the future. Because if you are, I'm not going to stop the class to get you organized for it. I'm going to go on with the other people. And when I get a moment, I will catch you up. But that may take some time. Don't think this person was happy with my comment, and this person hasn't signed up for my next 2 classes. And you want to know something? That's fine. If my classes and my time do not fit their schedule, that's fine. I'm not hurt if you don't show up. I'm pissed off if you show up late because it's not fair to the other people. So, but that's me. I'm very punctual. I always have been. And I always say that if I'm going to do something at a certain time, unless something very unexpected happens,
Like get a car accident
or something like that, like stuff that's way out of my control, like someone drops a house on me, tornado season, who knows. I will be there on time. Or I will phone ahead and say, this is totally unexpected. I'm so sorry. You just go ahead. with whatever. I'll bring myself up to speed when I get there. I'm so sorry about that. That never happens to me. Knock wood, but who's not to say it won't? But I'm not even talking about that with some people. That if sometimes things happen beyond our control, but when it's chronic, like they're going to the point where you can set your watch by it. In fact, I do tell some people, I'm kind of nasty this way. Some people that I know are going to be chronically late, I tell them an earlier time to see if I can get them here on the right time. Or I know I'm devious about that, but I think some of them have caught on to that though. So now, so what are people saying here at the moment? Craft and Bev says, I was raised to be 5 minutes early than 1 minute late. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. Tiger says, I was raised to show up a little early or a few minutes late. If any later, one is rude. If you were more than 15 minutes late for Sunday lunch, my grandmother would make us eat in the kitchen. Yeah. And Craft and Bev says, and the 5 months my caregiver has worked for me, she has never, ever been on time. She's anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour late. Yeah, that's just not fair to you. Laura says, dinner time, enjoy your evening, gentlemen. Okay, Laura's going off to eat. Bye, Laura. And Nairi says, their loss. If it's a regular thing with no valid reason, then that is just rude. Yep. And G Tiger says, it would just be easier if they would say no to start.
Exactly.
And there are some people who don't want you to think bad for them. So when you extend them an invitation, they will go, oh, yeah, thank you. I'll have to let you know because I'm not sure why I'm doing that, but I'll let you know. And you never hear from them. And then you think, should I call them? And then it sounds like I'm begging for them to come. No, I'm not begging for them to come. But, you don't know what to do. So you're left hanging. So I'm making dinner. I'm making food. I have place settings on the table. Do I set one for you? Do I not? What do I do? So, and Anita says, I've always been early or on time. I hate to be late. Yep, I'm the same way. So anyways, that's what's pissing Walter and me off this week. And this was generated from the fact that he didn't have anything to say for this segment. And I was talking
about... Well, he was talking about somebody being late. And then I was thinking to myself, we've had situations where people are late or change things on us on the last minute. And... yeah, that's something that ticks me off.
Yeah.
And even on Friday at the art gallery, there are people that showed up late to for that are supposed to be there.
Oh, the ones volunteering to do stuff. Yeah, I know. That happens all the time. And just because it happens all the time doesn't mean I have to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's their problem. But if it starts to affect me, then it becomes my problem and I have to solve the problem. And that's when I go into teacher mode. Okay. All right, so what are we watching on TV? Well, we just got Space Channel. Now that it's nice that now you can buy your channels individually. The reason I wanted Space Channels because there's a new show called Krypton, which is supposed to be 200 years before Superman's time. It deals with his grandfather, something like that, and I like that kind of stuff. So
I don't watch it.
He doesn't watch it, but so we decided to get Space for a while, and it's like $7 a month. Or something added to our bill. He was looking at, of course, being the cheap Dutchman that he is, he was looking at what's the best value. So we can get 10 channels for $20. Yeah, and then we're back on the same road again where we had everything that was going. We were spending a whole lot of money on this and we weren't watching it.
Yeah. Okay, so.
I want it to be, they see he moves on. If I mention anything that might have, he might be showing a weakness for or something, then I get cut off. Anyways, at the movies, we saw Real Player One. Actually, it was actually pretty good, I thought.
I was reluctant to go to it because I thought maybe it would be...
But it was your idea to go.
No, I know. Originally, I was reluctant to go to it because I thought maybe it would be... because we're not gamers or whatever. And
Bye, Susie.
With gamers. And, but actually, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. Well, Spielberg did it. Apparently, a friend of mine had read the book. That was it, and he said the book sucks. It's really bad. He said, did they? And he hadn't seen the movie yet. And he said, have they put if they put what's in the book, it would be bad. And I said, well, I don't know. Well, he said he read some reviews where people had read the book and went to this and said, no, it's very different from the book, and they thought it was a better change. So it's spacey, it's high tech, it's that kind of stuff.
That appeals to us anyway.
And it's lots of action. So it keeps you going. It's what I would call an amusing little time waster. It's not going to win any big Academy Awards, I don't think, or anything like that, but it's entertaining.
It's entertaining, and there isn't any spots that I can remember in the movie
That
dragged where you're going, okay, looking at your watch type. How many times do you look at your watch?
Yeah. So it's okay. On YouTube, nothing really outstanding this week. I haven't found anything really new that I want to say you should all tune into. So nothing there. And I have started reading a new book. I finished reading The Witches of New York, which I recommend. It has both sort of the occult and it's soft occult. And yeah, well, because it's not really, it's not so much about magic or witches as much as it's about human beings, and you have to read it. Is it a well-written book? No, it's never going to become a classic. It's not a horribly written book. It's an amusing little time waster. Again. And now I'm reading another amusing little time waster it's called Artifact Hunters. And I love like the Da Vinci Code, all those kind of books, that style. And this one is sort of that style as well. Now I've just started reading it, and so I don't know much more about it. But apparently it's a trilogy, and I bought all 3 books because they came in one volume for.
By the way, I don't read books.
Walter can't read. He can barely spell his own name. I don't like reading
books. Actually, I very rarely read a book. I will occasionally read a book.
Yeah, but you'll sit there and pore over a screen on the internet about this, and that, and just read it from end to end.
No, I do that. I will read all kinds of stuff on the internet, but I don't.
He read a book once. It was read.
I've never liked reading books, so.
Well, you don't know what you're missing. When you're in the old folks' home, you're not going to have much choice. You might want to learn.
They'll have to give me internet.
Yeah, whatever. They probably won't figure you know how to use it. So what's cooking? Last week he made oatmeal cookies. This week he's on this making cookies kick, which is fine by me because I like cookies. He made chocolate chip cookies with what, 2 kinds, did you say?
Yeah, milk chocolate and semi-sweet chocolate.
And semi-sweet chocolate. So
only because we had 2 bags.
Because they're gourmet. And they're quite delicious, and they're really good if you dunk them in milk, especially chocolate milk. I love chocolate milk. Anyways, that's what
you never really could find too many good ones in Australia.
No, that was weird. Is Nairi still on here? Yeah. Nairi, what's it with chocolate milk in Australia? The stuff that we found in Australia, with the exception, and even it wasn't like ours, Oak Ridge or something, it was like someone had squirted some Hershey's chocolate into a white milk, and because you could see it settle out.
Yeah, the stuff here is really good.
Like our stuff isn't like that. It doesn't
settle.
No. And I just don't. Maybe chocolate milk's not something that popular in Australia. I don't know. Want to know. Oh, Preezy's here. Well, I came in here after dinner and fell asleep on the couch, so hello. I don't know if I should be insulted or glad you made it. Woke up for it. Whichever. And Anita says, I just finished reading Shocking Paris about history of Paris around the time Hitler was invading the country. It's a great book. Oh, okay. I might make note of that one and look that one up. Is there much war stuff in it though? Because I don't like books about war. Except if it's okay if it's connected to war, just as long as it doesn't give me all the nitty gritty details about being in the trenches and killing people. I don't like that kind of thing. Nairi says, chocolate milk. Don't drink it, but I think you need to shake it up well. Yeah, well you don't ours. Okay? Ours doesn't separate out. So I don't know what's different about how they do that. Like, I've made chocolate milk in a pinch with like Hershey's chocolate, liquid chocolate.
Or Nestle's Quick.
Yeah,
or something
Nestle's Quick is just god awful. It's powder. Well, you can get it in liquid form now too. But that stuff never really blends that well in your.
The stuff that we have is really almost creamy looking. Mm-hmm. And it's, I don't drink chocolate milk, he does, but it's kind of creamy looking and it doesn't separate out. You don't have to really shake it that much or anything.
Well, you don't have to shake it at all with it. It's just the way it doesn't settle out. So I don't know. It's different formulas. Anyways, Catherine says, I grew up on a farm and we always said the chocolate milk came from the brown cows. Well, yeah, everybody knows that. Yeah. And just one question: where does lemonade come from? Think about it. Um, Preezy says, read about
Where the Girl Scout
permeat,
cookies come from.
permeat, permeat, PERMEATE in milk in Australia. Oh, I'll have to look that up and see what that's all about. Um, ooh, Nairi, what did you say that they want to? If you're like medieval English history dramas, check out the White Queen and the White Princess series on Netflix based on Philip Gray. Oh, okay, it's good. But I wonder why this came up and tried to block her on that comment. Nothing to that. So show. Yes, show. And G Tiger says, I like chocolate almond milk. I tried the almond milks once before.
We've got
Well, I've got the skim version.
got the skim version, which is fat free. But Sound Grass, that's our French version, and it's fat free.
Sound great. Yeah.
Well, because everything's in English and in French on our stuff.
So
Right.
it's actually la crème. No, Okay, I can't read it because le crème au chocolat, which
Yeah.
means chocolate milk.
Right.
But
so anyway, so in our ingredients, it's skim milk, sugar, glucose, fructose, cocoa, color, salt, carrageenan, artificial flavor, vitamin A, palmitate, and vitamin D.
okay, well, whatever. It's all natural.
Yeah, and that's
But anyways, it's totally different from what I was finding and I am a connoisseur of chocolate milk, okay? I will tell you that. So the only one that I found that I didn't mind was one called Oak Ridge. And it
you
was
still have to shake it up.
you still had to shake it up, but it was a little closer to what we're used to here. But whatever, I guess it's just different places. So what are people saying here about this? Mel says, I'm just reading an interesting book, The Art of Walt Disney from Mickey Mouse to the Magic Kingdom. Tells the whole story of Disney Studios. They made a movie of that, and we saw it.
I think it's called Walt.
Yeah.
Or something, or Walt before the something or another.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's the same thing. Jody says, I'm ending week 1 of retirement, and I'm reading Sunburn. Oh, okay. And Jennifer says, I just finished the S-Town podcast. Now I'm trying to find something new to read. And Nairi says, if you like, okay, we read that. Nairi, am I talking too much? Laugh out loud. No, Nairi. No. You don't talk at all too much. Craft and Betty, I made a mug of chocolate milk every morning with Nestle's Quick, but I shake it. I don't stir it, and I drink it right away. Yeah, you have to, because that stuff's a little chalky. I remember from being a kid with it. And Mel says, Nairi, you're welcome to talk as much as you like, as you are a very rare visitor. Actually, Nairi's not that rare. She's on here when she can be and the whole thing like that. But Nairi is one of those kind of people that only gives you quality comments. Let's put it that way. Okay? And if you believe that, I have swampland in Florida to sell y'all. Okay. Whatever. I'm sorry, Nairi. I'm not poking fun at you. You know that. Preezy says the carrageenan helps the cocoa from separating from the milk in the U.S. and Canada. Oh, so that's why we have.
Okay,
So
that's
maybe
probably, yeah.
theirs doesn't have that.
Maybe not, yeah.
ML says she's seen that movie about Disney as well. So, anyways, what's coming up? Well, we've already talked about the RMG, Robert McLaughlin Gallery. That's the gallery volunteer at Volunteers Lunch. That's coming up next Sunday. Ooh, next Sunday. No, we should be home in time to do our regular.
Yeah, it doesn't usually take that long.
No, well, the lunch is at 12:30, and then they're having the panelist thing at 2, and
Oh,
that'll
well, just
probably only
leave
go
early.
around. Well, yeah, because it's probably boring as hell, that part of it. But anyways, so yeah, don't have anything to worry about there. Next Friday night's my last sewing class for this particular quilt, and I've already talked about that. And we're going to use our walking foot to quilt it, so I'm looking forward to that because I've done some experiments using walking foot. I saw a video. And yeah, I did the Australian quilt that way. But making curvy lines was a bit of a problem. But apparently you can with a walking foot. So anyways, we'll see what I learned from that. But then next weekend is the Creative Festival. It happens twice a year. One in the spring, one in the fall, in Toronto. And it is a big thing where they have, it's geared towards primarily quilters, but I think they have other things too that are related to it. So I'm dragging Walter off to that next Saturday, and hoping it's going to cost, because I know there'll be things I want to buy at this. But anyways, I'm looking forward to going to it because it's there. Anyway, so that's what's coming up. We've got some nursing homes to check out Monday and Tuesday. Rah, hooray. That's about it. Can't think of anything else, and I think we've come to our time, people.
And I'm having lunch with Luba on Friday.
Oh, you're having lunch with Luba? What, will she really show up?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Luba's an old colleague of mine, Russian background. So whenever she writes me an English letter, I have to decipher it.
Oh.
She uses weird words. Because she's
weird.
Russian background, she's had sometimes English still doesn't come quite as fluent to her as it should.
I think we may have broken a new record.
Yeah.
We've got 32 viewers right now live. I don't think we've ever broken over 30. Maybe we have. But anyways, so ML says, yep, soon time to go to bed. It's almost 2 at night.
Yeah.
Or 2 in the morning. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, people. So great. Walter has to check his meat.
Yeah.
Grab roast beef tonight. So anyways, hope you have a good week. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, send me things about yourself, whatever it is. Makes it interesting. Okay? So have a good week.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week. And watch for my vlog this week coming up. Bye-bye.
Bye.